Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday and Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel that's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. Just want to let everyone know that Bookmap is encouraging everyone to join Discord. There are a lot of advantages. You will need a Bookmap subscription to fully participate in chat and watch the streams. There is a free subscription available. Also, I'll go over this in just a minute. There is a sale coming up, Black Friday sale coming up on Friday. Good way to take advantage of a Bookmap subscription. So again, there are a lot of advantages to participating in Bookmap Discord. There's my channel, my stream, as well as many others. And again, you will need a subscription, and you can scan this QR code for more information. And as I mentioned, there is a Black Friday sale coming up. You can go to bookmap.com/deals for more information. So the specific deals have not been announced yet, but keep an eye out for the Black Friday sale coming up on Friday. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks that I trade and follow, like the Magnificent Seven stocks, and also the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index. And the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel. Did anyone hear that ring? Not quite sure what that is. All right, so the focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading. The first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow on Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis. And for setups, and when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset, as well as the way you like to trade. And just a note about positional analysis, there are a variety of ways of looking at the market. There's technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and positional analysis. This is something that I think Brent Kajuba, the founder of Spotgamma, as far as I know, he coined this phrase. And this is the primary way that I look at markets. Many traders are primarily focused on technical analysis. Long-term investors may be fundamental analysis. And my focus is almost entirely options market based using positional analysis. So if somebody asks me to look at a stock, for example, my first step is to go to Equity Hub. So that's my approach to the market, kind of a pure positional analysis. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Jug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer questions. Hello, Hector. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hello, John, Suresh, WRB. Welcome. Glad you're here as well. And thank you very much for joining me on Discord. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, November 25th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. When I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items. Let's go to the Spotgamma dashboard homepage. Take a quick look at economic data for this week. Here's the events calendar. It is, first of all, a holiday shortened week. More about that in just a moment. So coming up this week, tomorrow, really the first high impact event is the FOMC minutes tomorrow at 2 p.m. And it looks like that is coming out on Tuesday this week, maybe because of the holiday. Normally the FOMC minutes come out at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Then on Wednesday, there's a lot of high-impact economic data coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, PCE data, GDP, and durable goods. Again, all come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then on Thursday, that is the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S. And then Friday, the market is open for a half day. All right, so that's the week coming up. So again, tomorrow FOMC minutes and then economic data Wednesday morning. All right, let's move on now to positional analysis. I'm going to start with the SP 500. This is the ES Futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the underlying index, that is SPX. This is a chart in Thinkorswim. One-day chart, 1 year's worth of data. Rally continues. Let's take a look now at a 1 hour chart. This is a 30-day 1 hour chart. Big gap up, post-election rally. And then SPX found resistance around the 6,000 call wall. SPX did trade up to that level today. So after the big rally, about a 50% retracement down to around the 58.50 level. And then back up to this call wall level, somewhere between the call wall at 6,000 and the 6,017 combo 4 level that did act as resistance today. All right, so that is the 30-day 1 hour chart. Let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. Fairly small weekly expected move for this week. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. They're based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. And the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX. Again, from last Friday, I do post those levels in Discord every day the evening before. So another advantage of joining Bookmap Discord. And note that the SPX did gap up this morning up above the upper daily expected move and now is trading below that level. All right, so those are the expected moves levels. And let's take a look now at the Spotgamma levels on this chart. These are based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim, again, a 30-day, 1-hour chart. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall remains at 5,800. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And Hector indicates, Hector, can you hear me now? Let me know. Again, Hector, if you can hear me, let me know. OBS Studio does indicate that sound is working on YouTube. It should be on Discord as well. Okay, so that's the put wall. The next level up is the volatility trigger. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. All right, WRB says sound is good. Hector, the issue may be on your side. All right, so the put wall, 5,900. And above that, at 5,800, I'm sorry. Above that is the volatility trigger at 59.45. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to subdue or decrease volatility. That level did move up from Friday, up slightly to 59.45 again. And then finally, the call wall is at 6,000. It's remained at that level for quite some time. That's also the absolute gamma strike. So the call wall is the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And it's also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And that is definitely the level where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated, the big strike on the board. All right, so the only shifts in levels for S&P 500, for SPX and SPY, volatility triggers shifted higher, and for SPY, the put wall shifted higher. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. And then we'll get back to Bookmap. SPX 1-minute chart. Key levels here, there's the upper daily expected move. SPX did trade up above that level. And then the 6,000 level, call wall, absolute gamma strike. Now price trading below that level. And then this 5017 around that level, combo 4 level, acted as resistance. All right, back to Bookmap. All right, Bookmap, I have SPX levels on my chart, SPY levels, and also key ES levels. So first of all, let's take a look at some of the SPX levels. There's this 6017 combo 4 level. That was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And around that level was resistance just after the cash open. Note before the cash open, the SPY 600 absolute gamma strike acted as resistance, also almost to the tick. I think that that high there was at 600.04. And note, this is the SPY 595 large gamma 3 level, and price reversed higher just above that level. And then here's this big cluster of levels. So that is the 6,000 absolute gamma strike call wall. Above that, the blue line is the ES, upper daily expected move. And then there are a couple of SPY levels and another SPX combo 2 level. Note there's a difference in price between ES and SPX. Right today it is 19 points, right around 19 points. So I'm showing SPX 6,000 at ES 6,019. So that offset again is 19 points. And I'm using the price lines add-on to show these lines on my chart. All right, so that's the S&P 500. We'll talk about setups in a few minutes. Let's move on to NASDAQ. So this is the NQ Futures Bookmap. Let's take a quick look at the underlying index charts, then we'll get back to this chart. First, let's go to QQQ. QQQ levels in play. Here's the call wall at 510. Price did trade above that level earlier today, now trading below. And then here's the volatility trigger at 505. That level did move higher from Friday. So 505, volatility trigger. So QQQ back above the volatility trigger now. Also for QQQ, the put wall did shift lower. Volatility trigger higher and put wall lower. All right, so those are levels in play. Note this combo level at 508.01 was definitely in play earlier today, acting as resistance multiple times. All right, let's take a look at NDX, and then we'll get back to Bookmap. NDX key levels earlier today. Let me zoom in on this just a bit. This is the 21,000 level. That's a large gamma 2 level, acting as resistance. And then this 20,800 level did act as support earlier today around that level. That's a large gamma 4 level. Now maybe acting as resistance. So support before at 20,800, now resistance. All right, back to Bookmap. So there's the 20,000 large gamma, 21,000 large gamma 2, acting as resistance. So just like ES, I have my own levels using the price lines add-on here to show NDX levels, QQQ levels, and key NQ levels on this chart. So again, NDX level is very important today, acting as resistance, then support earlier today, now maybe resistance at that 20,800 large gamma 4 level. And here's the QQQ volatility trigger at 505. All right, so again, more about setups in a few minutes. Shifts in levels. QQQ, volatility trigger higher, put wall lower. And for NDX, the absolute gamma strike is back down to 20,475. All right, let's wrap up positional analysis by taking a look at gamma. Let's take a quick look at gamma notional market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This is the data table at the bottom of the AM Founders Note. Gamma notional at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. And let's actually take a look at the Russell 2000. All right, so for SPX, SPY, NDX, these numbers are all positive, and they did increase from Friday. So in a positive gamma environment, for an index, this Spotgamma assumes that traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And then they're also positive for the RUT and IWM. And with the exception of QQQ, all these numbers did shift higher from Friday. All right, let's take a look at a real-time look at gamma now. Let's go to the trace. This is the trace gamma heat map. And this is from Spotgamma. Let's go back and take a look at the beginning of the day. So I'm going to scroll back in time. Let's go back to about 9:40. So 9:40 at the beginning of the day, you can see all this positive gamma up above. That's the blue area. Positive gamma above, pretty high stability index. All right, let's step through in time. So that's the condition at the beginning of the day. And at 9:40, SPX trading up above the call wall key gamma strike at 6,000. All right, let's step through in time. Keep an eye on the stability index. It quickly dropped down below 50%. Note there is some positive gamma building right around 59.90. And I think that was initially acting as support. Just continue stepping through in time. Note the negative gamma up above, shown here. And then the very large positive gamma right around, that's either 6,050 or 55. 6,055. And I believe that is the short call strike of the JP Morgan collar that expires at the end of the month. And note all the positive gamma around that. So a pocket of negative gamma above 6,000, then positive gamma up above. So let's continue stepping through in time. Now it looks like the support right around 59.90 breaking. All right, back to real time now. Stability index back up to 79%. And SPX did find support right around the Spotgamma implied one-day move low, and also positive gamma. You can see the darker shaded blue here. All right, so that's the picture of gamma now. Support down below. All right, let's, so based on this, I was initially looking for lower volatility based on the higher stability index, positive gamma at the beginning of the day, and that did shift as price broke below the 6,000 level and continued lower. And now it looks like stability may be returning with a positive gamma down here. All right, let's move on now. Let's take a look at, let's look at execution. So move on now from planning to execution. And we'll start with the S&P 500. Start with options trades. Take a look at what options traders have been doing today. So I'm going to start again with the S&P 500. This is the hero signal in Bookmap. From Spotgamma. Hero is hedging impact real-time options. All right, so there are two signals that we can take a look at for the S&P 500. This is the index signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the hero signal. A falling hero signal indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. They're buying puts and or selling calls. Market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they hedge their delta exposure by selling ES futures. And a rising hero signal indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts. Again, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they have to hedge their delta exposure buying ES futures. So that is the index signal. There's another signal that we can take a look at for the S&P 500, and that is the equity signal. Note this line is a little bit smoother, a little bit more correlated to price. And I do like to look initially in the morning at this S&P 500 index signal. So the equity signal is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the underlying index. I think it takes some time, initially maybe in the morning, for this line to start moving. And sometimes it's a little bit late, especially in the morning. And that's what happened this morning. So you can see initially there was a strong move up, traders taking positive delta positions, flow alert, and that's signaling a potential reversal in the hedging flow from positive to negative delta. Hero signal starts to turn lower. So that is the equity signal. Let's take a look at the index signal now. Zoom in a little bit. And note how the index signal started to turn lower earlier, much earlier. So the equity signal started to turn lower right around there, and the index signal had already started to turn lower. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now. Go back to S&P 500. Let's zoom in just a bit. And we'll take a look at the clues in Bookmap. So first of all, here's a level that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, the 6017 combo 4 resistance level. So price moved up to that level. The volume dots in Bookmap are showing market buy minus sell. Green volume dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Note the buyers become exhausted. Small green volume dot. Aggressive sellers start to come in as traders were taking negative delta positions, first of all in the index and next in the equities. So I was starting around 945, 950. Both hero signals were moving lower. And back to Bookmap, This is the signal on the subchart for iceberg orders. Falling blue line indicates large traders selling with iceberg orders. They use iceberg orders to hide their size. Note how they were fading that move higher. Very typical behavior for large traders, selling strength and buying weakness. They use, again, iceberg orders to hide their size. So another clue that price might reverse lower. So again, iceberg orders, aggressive sellers coming in, resistance level, and both hero signals were moving lower. Index first, equity second, and price moves lower. So a very nice short setup in the morning. Very clear signals in hero and in Bookmap. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. We'll take a look at some stocks, and then we'll get to the live market. Truman asked, well, welcome, Truman. Glad you're here. Asked, what does it mean when a large volume dot starts to shrink? It means in this case, the case that I just pointed out, there are no more buyers. A very large volume dot, a green volume dot, would indicate a large number of buyers, and a very small green volume dot indicates a smaller number of buyers. So that's often a signal for a potential reversal. Buyers are exhausted, aggressive sellers start to come in. So that's how I interpret that information. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. Go to NASDAQ. Let me zoom in again. All right, NASDAQ, again, resistance right around the NDX 21,000 level. That is above the QQQ 510 call wall. And you can see again aggressive sellers starting to come in right around 945. Now in this case, large traders were fading the move down. They were buying as price moved down, but cumulative volume delta, the dark blue line, confirms the magenta volume dots, aggressive sellers, and then also the yellow line showing sell stop orders help to fuel that move lower. All right, let's take a look and see what options traders are doing. And just like the S&P 500, there are two signals that we can take a look at for the NASDAQ. The first is the index signal, and that is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for QQQ and NDX, providing a pretty good signal today. Note how the hero signal started to make lower highs and price followed. So that is the NASDAQ index signal. There's also the MAG 7 signal, very similar to the equity signal, which is often the MAG 7 plus 493. So it starts to reverse a little bit lower, and price follows pretty quickly. Traders taking negative delta positions in the MAG 7 stocks. They are selling calls and buying puts. All right, so both signals providing pretty clear bearish signals today. Back to Bookmap. And there's the reversal lower, good for 200 points from NDX 21,000 to 20,800. All right, just like the S&P 500, NASDAQ consolidated for a bit, then resume moving lower, found resistance right here at VWAP, that blue line. All right, let's take a look at some stocks, then we'll get to the live market. All right, the stocks that I want to take a look at, first of all, I want to take a look at the IWM. Then I'm going to take a look at a couple of crypto-related stocks. And then I'll take a look at the couple of Mag 7 stocks. And if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know. First of all, any questions about the S&P 500 or NASDAQ? Otherwise, I'll move on. All right, let's take a look at IWM. IWM Russell 2000 has been in play for today. I think maybe traders are rotating out of large cap tech into the small cap stocks. IWM, let's see what options traders are doing. And I'm going to shift to puts and calls. Go to IWM. Kind of a choppy signal, but you can see in the morning traders were buying calls. So the orange line is calls. A rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls. Market makers are selling calls. They have to buy stock or futures to hedge their delta exposure. Let's zoom in on this a bit. You can see multiple flow alerts coming in. 4 altogether. I think this was the most meaningful signal right before IWM started to move higher right around 10 a.m. And note, traders pretty quickly take their foot off the gas right around 10:25, and initially IWM consolidated, then moved lower, and for that move lower, traders were selling calls. They started buying puts briefly. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction, and that is a powerful directional indicator, and in this case it was bearish. Now traders have started buying calls again. Back to Bookmap. So remember, the call buyers took the foot off the gas. Price began to move lower, started buying calls again. Now price moving back up to 245. All right, next stock, let's take a look at some crypto-related stocks. First of all, Coinbase. All right, what I'm showing on this chart. First of all, this is Coinbase, and I'm also showing correlation. This is the correlation tracker in Bookmap showing Bitcoin futures. Since Coinbase and also MicroStrategy that we'll take a look at in just a minute are both very highly correlated to Bitcoin. And you could, if you have access to Bitcoin exchanges, they are available in Bookmap for free, I believe. I don't typically look at Bitcoin very much, but I do have access to Bitcoin futures. That's what I'm using. So you can see Coinbase dropping as Bitcoin futures were dropping. And just above 290, which is I believe that's the put wall, hedge wall. We'll take a look at it in just a minute. You can see all the aggressive buyers starting to come in. Big green volume dots. One last sell volume dot. Price starts to move higher. As Bitcoin starts to rise, you can see the correlation tracker showing Bitcoin rising there. Moves back up to 315. Bitcoin flattens out, and same for Coinbase. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to coin. So you can see as price was falling, traders were, wrong tool. Traders were selling calls and buying puts. Here's the 290 hedge wall, put wall. Price did not quite make it down to that level. Aggressive buyers started to come in, and Coinbase found support. The traders started selling puts, buying calls. Price moved higher, and they continue to buy calls. So they're selling puts, buying calls, and they continue to do both, but the slope of the hero signal has definitely flattened out. All right, so after that initial dip in Bitcoin and Coinbase, now traders continue to buy calls, and Coinbase looks like it is consolidating. All right, next, MicroStrategy. Looks like I need to turn off the intermediate yellow lines. Coinbase moves so much, like I've done here on MicroStrategy. Just showing red lines on the fives. All right, similar chart for MicroStrategy. Note all the magenta volume dots. Aggressive sellers on the way down, and aggressive buyers starting to come in. MicroStrategy pulls back. Aggressive buyers starting to come in as, again, I have the correlation tracker showing Bitcoin here. Bitcoin starts to rise. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to MicroStrategy. So just like Coinbase, initially traders are selling calls, buying puts, and they started buying calls, stop selling puts. Price initially moved higher. Now they're selling calls again. And MicroStrategy in the last, after the election, has moved up pretty substantially. Volatility very high. Looks like traders may be taking advantage of that and selling calls, or may be taking profits on calls they bought earlier. All right, so that's MicroStrategy, very volatile stock. It is possible to trade it if you like to day trade shares. One thing that I like to look at, I was looking at this on Friday, MicroStrategy, very volatile, moving quite a bit. And if you can, it was moving much faster on Friday, and it was earlier this morning too. If you can look for these pops and drops and set if you want to buy, set a buy stop order slightly above price, or a sell stop order slightly below price to catch one of those drops or pops. All right, so that's MicroStrategy. Let's take a look at a couple of Mag 7 stocks now, then we'll get back to the live market. So first of all, Meta. Note how cumulative volume delta is rising. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to Meta. So initially in the morning, traders are buying calls. You can see the flow alert that came in right after the open. This is pretty typical of Meta. Aggressive call buyers first thing in the morning. And as they start to take the foot off the gas, Meta starts falling. Note the blue line, the put line, is pretty flat. So really call buyers and sellers driving price. $565 is the hedge wall. Excuse me, $565 is the hedge wall. Put wall now down at $550. Price moving lower. So there's Meta breaking below the 565 hedge wall. Let's take a quick look at something else. Let's go to Equity Hub. Go to Meta. Go to History. And note the bearish hat trick for Meta. Red numbers showing the level decrease from the previous day. So thank you, John, for pointing this out on over the weekend. Bearish hat trick in Meta. Again, thanks to John 412 for pointing this out. Key gamma strike, hedge wall, and put wall all move lower. So now the put wall is underneath price, and it moved down from 565 before, where it had been for several days, about a week. All right, so bearish hit trick in Meta there. Back to Bookmap, and it is falling lower, maybe toward that put wall. Next targets down below would be the liquidity at 555. Those are limit buy orders. Heat map and Bookmap is showing a history of limit orders in the order book. Note they come in, this is pretty typical for stocks, they come in at the cash open and remain there until they're filled. These levels, orders were limit sell orders at 570, filled on that move up, and then they came back again at a few minutes later. All right, so targets at 555 liquidity, and then the 550 put wall down below. All right, last stock I want to take a look at is Tesla. All right, for Tesla, 360 is the call wall. Price did trade above that level for a few minutes today, but then broke lower. Call wall doing its job as expected, acting as resistance. Again, 360 call wall. All right, let's see what options traders have been doing in Tesla today. In Tesla today, traders are selling calls and buying puts. Note the notional value for calls, negative notional value. They're selling calls and buying puts in Tesla, driving price lower. So when traders sell calls and buy puts, market makers take the opposite side of those trades, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. So there's the call wall at 360, very nice short at the call wall this morning, as traders were selling calls and buying puts. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, let's get back to the indexes now, and let's take a look. I'm going to shift back to the total signal. Let's start with the S&P 500 index signal. Go to the equity signal. So the equity signal looked like it started to rise right around 1245. Price moved higher, again found support at around the Spotgamma implied one-day move low, and that's just above the last closing. Looks like now the S&P 500 is pretty flat. Let's see, check the index signal. Also reversed higher right around 1245. Now moving slightly lower. Let's go to Bookmap. Go back to ES. So now consolidating again, just above ES 6000, that red line. Checking NASDAQ. Remember, we were looking at this NDX 20,800 level. Some consolidation around that level. Now maybe acting as resistance. Let's go check the hero signals. Go to NASDAQ. All right, so the NASDAQ signal is starting to move lower, combined index signal. MAG 7 also moving lower. So I would be looking for a move lower in NASDAQ potentially. Let's check Trace. So let's go back to Trace, back to the S&P 500. Note this is updated every 10 minutes. So some positive gamma building, providing support. You can see the dark blue shading. Let's check delta pressure. Delta pressure, I like to zoom in a bit. So you can see the buying support here, this blue zone. Let's step back in time a little bit. Let's go back. So you can see in the morning, I'm back at 9:50 a.m. You can see the selling pressure here above, the red selling pressure as the S&P 500 reversed lower. So another clue that price is going to move lower. Let's go back to real time now. We'll step through pretty quickly here. Buying support, blue zone building below. You can see the blue positive gamma bars below price there. That buying support did disappear for a while. More negative gamma, price dropped sharply lower. Now blue buying support, positive gamma building again. Stability index back up to 84%. Now it looks like S&P 500 selling pressure is starting to build again. Note we have now moved to 1420. We were, when I started this just a minute ago, looking at 1410. Now 1420. Take a look at the contour line. This contour line right here sloping down. Selling pressure starting to build. Price moving lower. All right, so let's see where price may be heading toward the end of the day. Go to charm pressure. What this chart is showing is levels of potential pin or target levels at the end of the day. And that's typically around positive gamma nodes. And at this level of zoom, This is the highest positive gamma on the board right here. And that is at 59.75. That also lines up with this gap between selling pressure above, buying support below, and price. There's a pretty good chance that price may seek that level at the close today. And let's check Hero here. So I have the SB equity signal. That's that purple line. Change that to the index signal, moving lower. Go back to the equity signal. All right, so again, positive, highest positive gamma node on the board, 59.75. That lines up with this gap here. A potential pinning target at the end of the day. Let's take a look at it, just an SPX chart. All right, so 59.75, not far away. Right about there. Price has been lower today. Let's go back to Bookmap now. Go back to S&P 500. All right, so some aggressive sellers starting to come in now, and price breaking below ES 6000. That's the red line. Truman asks, if a stock gets below its hedge wall, then market makers trade with the stock, not against it. The hedge wall is a little bit different from volatility trigger. So the hedge wall is a level where hedging may increase. In my mind, it's not quite as clear as and it can act as support and resistance, that there really is no gamma shift level for a stock like there is on an index. At least that's what Spotgamma assumes. For a stock, Spotgamma assumes that traders are either long calls and or long puts. So market makers' position on the gamma curve for a stock is always negative gamma, unlike an index. Let's check Hero again. Go to Hero, that's back on Mag 7. Let's go to the equity signal. Zoom in on this a bit. Still making lower highs very slowly, not moving a lot. Check the index signal. And as we zoom in, we can see the index signal also making a lower highs. All right, so both of these Hero signals moving slightly lower. For the index and for equities. So if this continues, again, I would be looking for a pin right around 59.75. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's what I would be looking for based on the information that I have right now. All right, last call for questions or stocks. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Remember, tomorrow, FOMC minutes, 2 p.m., and Wednesday, PCE data, GDP, and durable goods at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Also, keep in mind, if you're considering Bookmap, the Black Friday sale beginning on Friday. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon, and I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks. Bye.